very happy to be with all of you this evening. Come to Toronto after a long time. This temple is very special for me because I was in this temple in 2005 at the time when Bhakti Maharaj left his body. And I was giving Srimad Bhagavatam class on that day when this news arrived. And it was really amazing because the verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, which was at that time supposed to be spoken about, was the verse when Dhruva Maharaj is leaving this world and he is climbing the celestial Viman, and the death personified is coming to him, and he's stepping his foot on the head of death personified. So it's actually very symbolic. As devotees, we are supposed to conquer death. Nobody can conquer death. Death is all conquerable. But we are living the life of devotion to re-establish our eternal nature. Death is actually unnatural. Death is not something which is according to our nature, therefore we are so repulsive. Nobody wants even to hear about it. For us as spirit souls, our nature is Satchitananda. We are eternal, we are full of knowledge and full of bliss. And unfortunately, we forgot about this nature of our soul, and due to contact with material nature. And we adopted the qualities of material nature, which is Asat, Achit, and Nirananda. It's non-eternal, it's full of ignorance, and it's full of miseries. So the purpose of Krishna consciousness is ultimately to re-establish this eternal nature of the soul, to be established within this nature which is already within us, but due to some misunderstanding we are confused. By re-establishing this, we are conquering over death, we are conquering over avidya, ignorance, and we are conquering over miseries of this life, sufferings of this life. So I will read a verse from the end of Bhagavad Gita, because now is marathon is going on, and it's very important for us to understand that all these results are coming from our contact with Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the direct manifestation of Krishna's intelligence, spiritual intelligence. And by coming in contact with Bhagavad Gita, we already we're coming in contact with God Himself. Very often Srila Prabhupada used to say that Bhagavad Gita is non-different from God Himself. He's spoken. Shankaracharya, glorifying Bhagavad Gita in Gita Mahatmya, says that this Gita Sugita Kartavyam, it should be said in a very beautiful way. Why? Because it came out from the lotus mouth of the Lord Himself. And there is no need in any other literature. If we are coming in contact with the words of God, we are coming in contact directly with Him. And He is the original source of Satchitananda. To re-establish our real nature, we have to keep in contact with Him. That's why we chant Hare Krishna, and that's why we study Bhagavad Gita. And I will read a couple of verses which were favorite Prabhupada's verses at the end of Bhagavad Gita, where he explains, where Krishna explains, why it is so important to distribute this knowledge to other people. It's verses 68 and 69. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Adojayam Udiraye Yaidam Paramam Guhyam Yaidam Paramam Guhyam Madbhaktesh Abhidhasyati Madbhaktesh Abhidhasyati Bhaktim Mai Param Kritva Bhaktim Mai Param Kritva Mame Vaishyasya Samshaya Mame Vaishyatya Samshaya Yaidam Paramam Guhyam Madbhaktesh Abhidhasyati Bhaktim Mai Param Kritva Mame Vaishyatya Samshaya. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end, he will come back to me. Purport. Generally, it is advised that Bhagavad Gita be discussed amongst the devotees only. For those who are not devotees, will understand neither Krishna nor Bhagavad Gita. Those who do not accept Krishna as he is and Bhagavad Gita as it is should not try to explain Bhagavad Gita whimsically and become offenders. Bhagavad Gita should be explained to persons who are ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is a subject matter for devotees only and not for philosophical speculators. Anyone, however, who tries sincerely to present Bhagavad Gita as it is will advance in devotional activities and reach the pure devotional state of life as a result of such pure devotion. He is sure to go back home, back to God. And I will read the next verse also. Nachatasman manusyeshu kaschin me priya krittamaha bhavita na chame tasmat anya priyataro bhuvi. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Padaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadesha Dharine Vanchakalpatarvescha Kripa Sindhuve Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Vedanta Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vrindah Pranishrimam Vachinamam Prasuktam Sanjeevayata Kila Shakti Darasvadamya Anyamscha Hasta Charanam Shravana Tvagaya Pranam Namo Bhagavate Purushaya. These two verses were very favorite verses of Srila Prabhupada because they encapsulate his mission. He knew that by explaining this param secret, this supreme secret, one can achieve the highest stage of devotion. And as a result of this, as Krishna himself says, his coming to him is guaranteed. And therefore Krishna emphatically states that there is no one more dear to me than somebody who is trying to explain this secret to the devotees. And Srila Prabhupada very beautifully explains in the purport in very simple words, what is this param secret? What is this param guhya? What is this supreme secret which Krishna explains? The supreme secret, the most secret knowledge is that God is person. It's not such an easy thing to understand because usually many people believe in God, but their conception of God is very vague. Who is God? He is something about whom I don't know anything, but probably he is something next to nothing. So, God is some impersonal thing, some void, something. And if you tell them, no, God is person. Not only person, he is a person with his own will, with his own desires. And that's why he created this world. Otherwise, if he was not a person, if he was not impersonal something, why would he create this world? What is the reason? Why does impersonal something need such a big headache by creating this big world with so many problems in it, infested by all these miseries and sufferings? No, there must be some plan behind it. Very benevolent plan, because God by definition is very benevolent. But plan means the person, desire means the person, means somebody with whom I ultimately can and should have personal relationship. That's the most secret and most confidential knowledge, because in every other religion they speak something about this, but very little. Whereas in Bhagavad Gita, and especially in Srimad Bhagavatam, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is devoted to this, how to enter into the personal contact with God, which is, in one sense, very difficult, because personal relationship require from us surrender. If we want to enter personal relationship, it means that we have to somehow or other go to so many compromises. Basically, we have to do something which somebody else wants to do, whereas we want to do something else. Personal relationship means this: I am doing something which you want to do. Why? Because I want to be in personal contact with you, because I love you. For you, I am doing this. And therefore, it's difficult, especially in this day and age, for people. They're becoming more and more impersonal, and they don't know how to enter into personal relationship. Yesterday I was giving, or day before yesterday, I was giving some public lecture, and one lady, she's a teacher in the school, and she said it's so difficult for young kids they're so afraid, they're so insecure to enter into some personal relationship because they're so used to deal with the machines. They're dealing with all these gadgets from very young age, and it's very easy. To deal with machines, you don't need to surrender. You only need to know which button to push. To deal with the person, you need to understand his character. You need to know. It's very easy to plow the field with the tractor, because you sit on the tractor, you push the button, and here you are. The result is there. But if you take the bull has his own character. You have to come to him, you have to pet him, you have to say some nice words to him, and then maybe he will plow it. But people, because they're used to, they're programmed to this impersonal dealings with the machines, which don't require anything. They become very, very insecure when it comes to personal relationships. They become very shy and very, they don't know what to do actually. It's, of course, majority people here from Indian background in India, it's not that far. It didn't go that far because Vedic culture from the beginning is teaching people how to deal with each other, how to cooperate with each other. All these big festivals and everything, the Vedic culture is very personal. Even the greatest impersonalists in India are more personal people than the greatest personalists in the West. I have personal experience of this. In India, the juror, you may be Mayavadi, but this Mayavadi, they're not really Mayavadi, they're so personal, they're so loving and nice. It's only philosophy, and philosophy, from philosophical sense, they're impersonalists. But in reality, they're persons. And we need love. We need personal relationships. And basically what Krishna here says, when he says that this is Paramam Guhyam, that this is the most important thing, he's speaking. This is the secret because it's difficult for people to understand. It's difficult for people to understand that absolute truth has the personal features. And therefore they say, no, this is just, some myth or whatever. And ultimately they prefer not to enter into personal relationship. Srila Prabhupada beautifully in the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he explains the verse, Vitaraga Bhayakrotha Mammaya Mamupashrita. He says that, Krishna says that to enter into personal relationship, you have to overcome three major difficulties. Raga, Bhaya, and Krodha. Raga means attachment, and attachment means you are attached in a very selfish way to somebody, and therefore, in dealing with this person, you are not dealing with him as a person, you are dealing with him as a machine. You're exploiting him. When we enter into this relationship based on exploitation, it's not personal relationship. You want to force somebody to do what you want to do. And this is not, it means that you want to turn him into a computer, I need a wife, but this wife should have some buttons so that I can push this button and she keeps quiet. No, it doesn't work like this. There is no such button on the wife. It would be nice. But because I knew that it's not going to happen, therefore I'm a sannyasi. But if you're living with the person, you really have to take into consideration his desires or her desires. Your wishes, your preferences, your whatever it is. So, and therefore Krishna says the first impediment on this way of personal relationship is raga. Raga when I am attached to somebody, but I want to force him to do what I want to do. That's what raga means. It's the difference between love and attachment. Attachment is when we are just, like sometimes parents are attached to their children. But there is a fine difference between love and attachment. When we love somebody, we love him as a person, and therefore we don't force him to do something which we want him to do. We want him to do something which will be beneficial for him. And we may have our own ideas, but ultimately the main intention is that let him do something which will help him to realize his potential. Not something which I want him to do, by all means. That's, raga means I want to force somebody to do what I want to do, what I think is the best. But relationship, love means that I know that he is a person and he has his own ideas. And I really respect him and I try to understand him. So this is the first impediment. Vita, raga, bhaya means fear. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport to this verse, in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that fear here is the fear of personal relationship. Because we are so used to this exploitive relationship. We are used to this relationship which are not healthy ultimately, which are not really loving relationships, that ultimately we become very shy and we try to hide away from personal relationships. We become frustrated and we become fearful. And again, krodha means anger, and anger also means that you ultimately say there is no God. You reflect all these problems which you have within your heart in a relationship with God, and ultimately, being angry, you say, there is no God. There is no God. This is the manifestation of anger. People are frustrated. When they say there is no God, God doesn't exist, it's just the highest extent of their existential frustration. Because how you can deny, how there's no God? Who created this? You have to be really madman to say that there's no God. They say there was a big explosion, and this big explosion, Big Bang, and this Big Bang created everything, When small bang creates chaos, but Big Bang creates such an order. Does it make any sense? Is it reasonable to say that this amazing order, amazing complexity of life was just a result of Big Bang, without any intention? God is there, but when you're frustrated, you say there's no God. But why you're frustrated? Because you cannot really, frustration comes because we lack love. When we feel this lack of love, lack of personal touch with other people, we ultimately become frustrated when we say there is no God. We cannot really relate to this idea that we can enter into personal relationship with God. And Bhagavad Gita is actually, as a book, is about this. Bhagavad Gita is gradually teaching us what does it mean to be a spiritual person. First, Krishna is explaining what does it mean to be full-fledged person in the material sense. Nowadays, what happens is that people are really confused even about their material identity. And this confusion is becoming all-pervading. You don't know who you really are, whether you're a boy or girl, or maybe you're something else. I don't know if it's politically correct to say these things, but people are confused. And they're spreading confusion. There is this identity crisis which is all-pervading in the Western culture. And Srila Prabhupada, by formulating his mission, he says that I am trying to free all these Western countries, Paschatya Desha, because they are infested by this disease of impersonalism. Disease of impersonalism also means that you don't know who you are. People nowadays, they are so detached from themselves. They don't know who they are. They don't know. You know, you ask people, you ask psychologists, you go to any psychologist, you ask what is the problem with which people come to them, and the psychologist will tell you that the main problem, people are confused, and they say that I'm not in contact with myself. You know, it may sound funny. How is it you are not in contact with yourself? But that's the fact. Why? Because people don't know how to be a person. To enter into personal relationships which are satisfying, you have to be established in your own personality first. If you don't know who you are, you cannot really enter into productive relationship with somebody else. Productive relationship with somebody else imply that you have very clear identity. You know, if you come to somebody and you say, I want to enter into some relationship with you, you know, and, you know, the question which is coming from this somebody is, you know, who you are. You say, I don't know who I am. What you're going to do in this relationship, I don't know, you know, but let's enter into some relationship. No, relationship means I know who I am, and I know who the person with whom I want to enter into this relationship. I am established in myself. If somebody knows what does it mean to be a son, and if somebody knows what does it mean to be a father, then the relationship can be productive. But if somebody doesn't know what does it mean to be son, if somebody doesn't really know what it implies, and if somebody doesn't know what it means to be father, how the relationship can work? You know, the relationship will be very satisfying if son knows that I should be obedient to my father, isn't it? You know, father is superior to me, father is supposed to protect me, but for him to protect me, I have to surrender to him. I have to follow his instructions, then the protection will come. And when father is capable of giving protection, he's very happy. And if his son is just rejecting his protection, he wants to give protection. But the son doesn't want to take protection, then there is no relationship. The father is unhappy, and ultimately the son is unhappy, because they don't know what they're supposed to do in this relationship. If husband and wife don't know what they're supposed to do in their relationship, there will never be happy relationship between them. You know, there will always be quarrel. You know, and that's what we see. This is the hallmark of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the age of quarrel. The Sanskrit root kal means quarrel and hypocrisy, as Srila Prabhupada says. Why? Because people are losing their ability to live as full-fledged persons. They don't know what it means. They don't develop their personality properly. Whereas Vedic culture, what is Vedic culture? Vedic culture from the beginning, from the childhood, everyone knows what he's supposed to do. Everyone knows what it means to be and how to live life which is most fulfilling. And because this lack of personal relationship in general, because of this inability to actually feel love and give love, to receive love. To receive love, it's also not so easy. You know, we lost the ability to give love. Oh, gradually losing. I hope it's not so bad, but it's coming to this idea, to this concept. And it's very difficult to receive love in a proper way. It's a science. Love is the most difficult science. It's very interesting that once I heard a comparison. It is said that Lord Vishnu, when he holds his chakra, he uses only one finger. To hold his chakra, he needs only one finger to kill others. You know, it's a simple job to kill others. For God, only one finger is required. But when Lord Krishna is playing his flute, he needs 10 fingers to do it. You know, love is much more difficult. It's much more complex. It's much more. It's a science. It's a very complex and beautiful science. And therefore, Krishna is he's manifesting his full personality. You know, God, why we say that ultimate conception of the absolute truth of God is Krishna, because Krishna is this manifestation of God where he manifests his full potential. He manifests everything, and especially what is his specialty, what the specialty of Krishna is his specialty of entering into relationship. Akhila Rasamrita Murti, Srila Rupa Goswami explains that the essence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is that he is the full manifestation of all the rasas, of all the relationships, of all loving relationships, with minute details, minute nuances of this relationship, which brings so much satisfaction to us. So here we are, through Bhagavad Gita, we are trying to learn this science. Ultimately, this is what Krishna is teaching us in Bhagavad Gita. He's teaching us the initial ABC truths, how to love God. And the first thing which he says is that first be who you are. First understand your material identity. Be established in this. He rebukes Arjuna. He says, Arjuna, you think you are big sadhu. You just imagine that you are, non-violent sadhu. You will go to Himalayas, you will sit in a cave, and then, some other sadhu will come to you, and this some other sadhu will say that, somebody did something wrong to him, and because you're kshatriya, you're not a sadhu, you will start fighting with other sadhus. You will not be able to change your nature. The first lesson which Krishna gives, he rebukes Arjuna for his identity crisis. He says, Arjuna, you're confused now. And because you're confused, you're experiencing all these very difficult emotions which you cannot really digest properly, and you're not yourself. This is what we are. This is a very important lesson for us. We have to really try to understand who I am. And who I am, to understand who I am means to understand what I am supposed to do. If I am living here, then this is my position here. I am a woman, or I am a man, and I have this role in the society. It's very important, to be established in my material identity, and then after being established in material identity only, you will be able to establish your spiritual identity, which is the basis or foundation or the step towards personal relationship with God. Because you cannot really establish any relationship unless you understand your identity. So this is the science which is explained in Bhagavad Gita in a very beautiful way. First, Krishna says, you understand who you are. And then gradually try to understand that ultimately your spirit soul, which is not really dependent on this body. But to understand this, you have to be first happy in this body. If you are not really happy, if you're confused, if you don't know what you're supposed to do, you will never be able to really understand your spiritual identity. How you will understand your spiritual identity? People in the West, because their material life is so miserable, they don't even ask this question, who I am in a higher sense. You can only ask this question and go deeper in this question if you are more or less happy person. Then only this will come as your agenda. I know people in the West, because their family life is so difficult and so unhappy, they enter into some marriage relationship. Of course, nowadays it's just, go and go live together. And then after a couple of, months or years, whatever, they enter into something else, and then again and again and again. So sometimes they have 10 marriages. This famous star actress, Elizabeth Taylor, she had 10 husbands. That. I spoke with one woman, she had, I think, 3 or 4 marriages. And I asked her, why did you do this? She said, it's better to have many happy marriages than one unhappy. That was her explanation, her rationale. People, they don't know that to live together, you have to surrender to each other. You have to really take into consideration other desires, and then ultimately you will be able to enter into happy relationship. But because they don't have this happy relationship, they always have this hope that maybe next time I will be here. This time it didn't work, next time it will work. No, it will not work next time either. After a couple of weeks or months or whatever, you will try to find somebody else. Because people are lacking this training and this understanding, that actually it's sometimes, and I also say this, that Bhagavad Gita is the book about surrender. But why surrender? Surrender may sound very heavy, surrender. No, but surrender is the way to love someone. That's why surrender is needed. Because without surrender, there's no love. Without surrender, there is no relationship. Without surrender, there is no deep, fulfilling feelings which can be experienced in very close relationships. And therefore, Krishna explains this. Whoever is explaining this secret, that God is person and we can only feel completely happy and completely fulfilled if we enter into personal relationship with Him. Whoever is explaining this, and explaining means he understood it himself. It's not that I'm sitting here explaining to you and then I'm going to my room and I lock my room and I don't want to see anyone because, because they only bring headache to me. No, explaining this science means that you practice this science. You practice this science in your life, and you really practice this science of love. Science of loving relationship. How to serve others. Service is nothing else but just synonym of love. Again, people like word love because they think that love means enjoyment. But people don't like word service. But in Sanskrit, seva, service, means love. There is no love without service. Love without service is just an empty word which doesn't have any meaning. So, and therefore Krishna says, whoever understood this science, this beautiful science of love, of personal relationship, of importance of this personal relationship, whoever understood this science and whoever is trying to explain it to others, whoever is really trying to explain to people that the only fulfillment which we may have, the only success in life which we may have is not money, it's not position, it's not power. The only success which we may have and which we should strive for is love, loving relationship. Everything else is just a tool, an instrument for this. Money without love can only bring miseries. Power without love can only bring miseries. Anything else without love is a source of suffering. But if you have love, money is good. If you have love, money is is useful. No problem. Everything else can be used, but love is the must. That's the most important. That's the emphasis. That's the goal of our life. Loving relationship with people around us and ultimately with God. Because everyone is an image of God. God is in everyone's heart. And if we understand this, we will also enter into personal relationship with all the people around us. And we will be able to manifest our love to them. And Krishna, he says three most important things. He says, whoever understands this, really understands this, he will have bhakti. It means he will have love. If you understand that the goal of your life is love, the love will come to you. If you don't understand this, if you don't set this goal in your life, you will never be able to experience love in real sense. Krishna says, you will experience bhakti in a higher sense. You will come to me, because when you experience bhakti, for sure you will come to God. His word, spiritual word, is the word of love, is the word of bhakti. When you become through and through, when you become surcharged by bhakti, by this power, definitely, in a very natural way, you will achieve spiritual kingdom. And not only this, Krishna also promises the third thing. He said, if you do this, if you understand Bhagavad Gita and try to explain Bhagavad Gita to others, then you will become very dear to me. It means that not only you come to me, sometimes you may come to somebody, but still the relationship will be very distant. But Krishna says, no, you not only come to me, when you will come to me, I will embrace you. I will say, oh, you distributed Bhagavad Gitas in Toronto. And I say in Bhagavad Gita that such person is the most dear for me. And nobody else will become more dear for me in the future. You know, I have a very special place for you. This is a place for somebody who distributes Bhagavad Gita in Toronto. This is a special section of the spiritual world for Toronto devotees. But it's not a joke. Krishna says it himself. If we really live Bhagavad Gita, once a person approached Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, you know, they say that Krishna chanted Bhagavad Gita within 45 minutes. And I can chant Bhagavad Gita within 45 minutes. I practiced it. I can chant it. You want me to chant Bhagavad Gita for 45 minutes to you? Prabhupada said, no, I want you to leave Bhagavad Gita for at least 1 minute. It will be much better. Because people may chant Bhagavad Gita. But to leave Bhagavad Gita is another thing. So Krishna says, if you leave Bhagavad Gita, if you understand this beautiful science which Krishna is teaching in Bhagavad Gita, and try to explain it to others, then you will be very dear to me. Because that's the nature. That's the nature of love. When we distribute these books to other people, we are basically distributing Krishna's love. And Krishna will reciprocate with this by giving people this message of spiritual world, and Krishna is very happy when we're doing this, and because he's so happy, he's waiting for us. He's saying yes, yes. Not now, because few more marathons are there and you can continue distributing my books, but at the end, please come to me, and I'm really looking forward to see all of you. So, and out of all of you, I'm the most intelligent because I'm sitting here and explaining this to you, having this promise of Krishna in mind. But my real purpose is, of course, to inspire you to do this. To study Bhagavad Gita, to read Bhagavad Gita, and to distribute the message of Bhagavad Gita to every person whom you meet. And in this way to save the world. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So despite such busy schedule that Maharaj has, we actually gave him some time to come here and deliver this session. And as he was saying in his session, that Vedic life is very personal. It's not impersonal. And he was giving an example that we are programmed, unfortunately, in such an impersonal manner that we want to push a button and get things done. And we don't spend time understanding the character. So this applause right now was good, but it was little impersonal. I could have asked, why don't you open your YouTube and play an applause cue? You don't have to do that. So let's all, with all our heart and full of gratitude, thank Maharaj. Ram Hari Bol! Really inspired us for this really special month, which is the month when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. He also mentioned in the beginning of his session that Bhagavad Gita is not different from Krishna himself, and Prabhupada used to often say this. And those who distribute this Bhagavad Gita, they are not just distributing a copy of Bhagavad Gita, but they're distributing love of Krishna to others. So Radha Mohan Prabhu, how many people have distributed the love of Krishna so far?
Haribol. So as you can see, this is a month of Prabhupada Marathon, and Maharaj said it all. Krishna is waiting to embrace you. We have a goal for this month. It's Team Toronto. It's our relationship. Who's part of Team Toronto? Please show your hands. Who wants to get close to Krishna? Yes. Who remembers what's the goal for Team Toronto? 26,000 Gita. Haribol. Yes. And we can do it together. One person cannot do it, but together, if we come forward, everybody does their little bit, we can smash this goal. Do you think we can do it? Yes, we have 2 more weeks to go. Only 2 more weeks. And we have many Bhagavad Gitas in many languages, English, Indian languages, Russian, European, many more languages, Chinese. You know people we don't know. Is that right? Right, Prabhu? You definitely know people I don't know. So please, let's follow what Maharaj just taught us today. Let's approach people, share them, show this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. We are here to support you. We are one team. And who wants to know how many more Bhagavad Gitas are left to meet our goal? Okay, drum roll, Haribol. Check your eyesight, everybody. 8,240 Bhagavad Gitas, more to go. So yes, it's an opportunity to clap for, you can do the math, 26,000 minus that. But do you think, are we celebrating this? No. I'm sleeping less in the night every day. What do you mean clapping? So please don't clap. We have to clap and this number will be? Zero. We have 2 weeks to make this number 0. Let's clap for that. Haribol. The last one, do you think I can do it alone? No. So please come forward. Last point is, there are many ways to make this number 0. 2 simple ways. We heard from Maharaj. Please take, you know people I don't know, take Bhagavad Gitas from the temple, approach people, give them. It's a gift, it's a holiday time, it's a holiday season. Everybody is looking for gifts and giving them. So you can do your part. If you don't have the time, we can do it on your behalf. So the second method is to sponsor Bhagavad Gitas, which is the Shastra Dan, the gift of knowledge. If you sponsor Bhagavad Gitas, if you donate towards a box, 1 box, 2 box, 20 boxes of Bhagavad Gita, we will take your sponsored Bhagavad Gitas and place them in hotels, hospitals, prison houses, shelter homes. There are people who are not so fortunate like all of us, but they need this knowledge. they can benefit from your support. So I won't take more of your time, but please consider, let's make this number 0. Let's be Srila Prabhupada, and we can do it together. Please take Bhagavad Gita yourself or sponsor them, get your tax receipt, because it's a donation to the Canadian charity, and we will do it on your behalf. Thank you again. Back to Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Let's make it 0, 0.
I quickly want to tell you one incident. I was in India and my B school was trying to set up the first library jail in the entire India. It was the first library jail. I went there because I was volunteering with my B school. At the same point of time, I told my director of the institution, why don't we take Bhagavad Gita? It's a good way to give it to the prisoners and they might use it for their self-edification. He said, it's a good idea. Let's take Bhagavad Gita. We took a few boxes of Bhagavad Gita there, and when we took to the so-called first library jail, I was told that many, many years ago, ISKCON devotees came there and they gave Bhagavad Gita, and a lot of prisoners have actually benefited out of it. So it's something that really happens on a real ground basis. You would actually see that in hospitals, in prison houses, and many other hotel rooms that the Bhagavad Gita has been given. So you can definitely sponsor that. When we are talking about sponsorship, I would also like to quickly thank our sponsors for today who sponsored the feast. So for the feast, we have Sunanda Senthil Mataji. She has done it in the loving memory of the late mother, Sundara Mataji. So let's say Hari Bol for them. We also have Asim Kumar, who's Asim Kumar Kar. He's also the one who has sponsored for today's feast. And there is one anonymous sponsor who has distributed or was given us some money for the feast today. So for all of them, can we quickly chant Hare Krishna mantra? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much. Would you want to chant 2 more times for the sponsors? Or would that be too much of a personal approach? Alright, let's chant 1 more time and 1 more time, 2 more times. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,